reason why I am expanding this research or documentary, because this is about the two very well-known researchers. One is the zoologist Cherry Garrard, and he in 1900 he went to the Antarctic oceans and he survived there for many days. And the second one is the Ernest Shackleton. He is a survival leader, and in many military academics, Harvard schooling systems, and other crisis management researches, his leadership qualities are studying by many students, because he survived in those extreme conditions in which human survival is impossible, in which human failures comes in the mindset of the people. In the expedition, in the journey of the Cherry Garrard, and the book written though which is very well known and which is very famous. The first one is The Worst Journey in the World, and the second book written about Cherry Garrard is The War Against the Ice, as well as the books are written too about the Ernest Shackleton, which the first one is The South, which means the endurance of the human being, and the second one is The Heart of the Antarctica. In these two books, they've written much things about human life, about human survival, the test of the human soul. In these books, nothing fictional or nothing as dramatic about the alien ships or future unknown creatures or future generational technologies. As many writers have written the fictional books which they claim that there are alien ships, there are alien civilizations in these areas of the Antarctica. But during these expeditions of Ernest Shackleton and Cherry Garrard, one is the captain of his crew members, other was a victim of the survival and was the member of the Fred Scott captain leadership. And in these two expeditions, they never claimed that there are aliens or there are any advanced civilization in Antarctica, or they never claimed that they saw anything relevant which is unknown, which is unnatural, which is far different from other things. They are just human survivals, human leaderships, and human precautionary steps, how they exceeds in these survivals, in these impossibilities where human soul fails but they survive. The Cherry Garrard expedition was about collecting the penguin's egg. The penguin's eggs for studying, for researches, but they got stuck in Antarctica in the mid of the winter season, and they survived for many days, and they saw many extreme conditions which the human soul can't survive in, because many members of his crew were dead, and many members survived in extreme conditions. Even their teeth fell and their skin become exhausted. Cherry Garrard survived under the leadership of Captain Robert Scott, where he survived in impossible conditions, because there was minus 60 centigrade winter, and it was more than this, because it is very impossible for human beings to survive in this kind of coldness without any shelter. After that, his crew members died, and in total darkness for many days, in the darkness, without seeing the sun, without seeing the warm days, he survived, and his teeth pulled out, his skin got exhausted, and his vision became blurred. So here it is the one of the extreme survival of the human history, in which he survived in these kind of coldness, in these kind of rare areas where humans don't visit as an adventurer or as a tourist, but they, for certain purpose, they went there and they got stuck there. After they stuck, they survived, and many of them died. The second expedition about the Sir Ernest Shackleton is quite different from the first expedition of Cherry Garrard. In this journey, Ernest Shackleton went to the Antarctica, but he never reached the land, the surface of the Antarctica, but he got stuck in the ice. He stuck in the floating ice, and he survived for over many months, and he stranded from his Anglo-Irish area for over 2 years. In his expedition, Sir Ernest Shackleton never left any of his clan member to say goodbye to his soul, but he survived with his total 28 members of his clan. In the Ernest Shackleton hardships, they even ate their dogs for survival of these 28 members of his clan, and he traveled in a small boat, in a small lifeboat, open boat, for 1300 kilometers, which is very impossible. If any one of us will just imagine in his mindset that how this is possible and how it will lead to human survival. Even they hunt the penguins, and when they killed their own dogs for their survival, but under his leadership, his all crew members in open ice, floating ice, they survived, which is still studied in many military academies, in many crisis management researches in Harvard schooling system, that human can survive in those kind of impossible conditions, which are very failure for the human soul to survive. Because in those kind of extreme conditions, almost if we will look upon the first expedition, here people died, but in the leadership of Ernest Shackleton, no one died. None of his crew members were dead, because he survived. He hunted, he killed his dogs, but he never let his people to be accepted it, to left their souls. One of the famous quotes in the adventures of Antarctica, which almost all people knew about it, that Antarctica did not test machines, it tested the human souls. Means that the adventures or expeditions of Antarctica are very different, and they are not as easy as we look to that continent, because it is very strange, it is very unique and different from other adventures and expeditions happening on any other corner of the world. Here we will talk about that these two expeditions we discussed here. We have the few proofs from those sources I'm telling you, and I'm sharing my research or documentary about. The first one is the original expedition diaries. The second one is the published books of 1920 to 1922, and the third one is the British Royal Geographical Society records, and the fourth one is photographic plates Hurley, written by Hurley, and the fifth one is the modern polar science citations, in which none of the above in human resources ever proved that these are wrong, written or wrong speculations. Whether these were proved by those facts and sources which we talked about. And the second thing is that the human survival, endurance, and in extreme cold, this is very impossible. Other than that, there is nothing special said by those expeditions, those researchers or zoologists, that they saw any modern civilization or aliens or something unknown creatures. They never talked about it. But a few fictional writers are talking there. This area is for the unknown creatures, for the aliens, and the humans had never discovered it. Whether this is not for the excessive use of human adventures, because there is no access in Antarctica continent, it is very limited, and only few researchers or scientists goes to there for their researches and for their learning or for their discoveries. So it is up to you how you will take it, but there are much more fictional writers who talks about this in that vision that there are aliens, unknown creatures, or modern civilizations which human has never discovered it. So please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Goodbye.